Hey everyone. Well, guess what? We're back here. We got one more I wanted to do here, and this one kind of came up. And I'm not sure that I'm going to do this one very well. Because sometimes what happens when I'm doing a video is because I get a prompted by a dream state or a waking, somewhere in between sleep and dream, I guess you could call it. And what happens is I get a voice talking to a voice talking to me. I got a three-way conversation going on. I think I mentioned this in the video. It's not up yet. I'll get it up here shortly. But I get a three-way conversation going in my head, and the voice is suggesting to me, well, why don't you do a little discussion on what some people call the twin flame energy and what you call the third energy? And I said, well, okay, that's great. Now, what the hell do you want me to say? And the voice goes ahead and kind of gives me kind of a visual description of what I kind of need to or I should mention. And this is usually about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't get out of bed and get up and do a YouTube video at that time of the night, obviously. So hopefully I retain it and can put it together, all right, in that perspective. The twin flame energy, again, is a popular commodity nowadays. And my definition of it, as I've done a few videos in the past, is I call it the third energy. Now, if we start from scratch so that everyone is happy, I don't want anyone unhappy in this situation, the twin flame energy and the third energy are one and the same thing, just two different labels describing the same energy. Point number 2, everyone on the planet has access every day, in every moment of their life, to the twin flame energy, or the third energy, or the creative energy, the God energy, the divine energy, whatever label you want to put on it. Okay? Keep the peace here. So, brings me to my next point, which is, why is there such a discrepancy or difference as to what some people can accomplish in their life and other people can accomplish in their life if we all have access to the twin flame energy? It's available to everyone, or the third energy, as we call it. If we all have access to source, then we should all be able to manifest equally. Should we not? I am in total agreement with people who say that the twin flame is not a person, because it's not yet. Because the twin flame energy, as stated by some, exists within everyone. Yes, it does. I'm in total agreement. So if everyone has access to it, why are we not all equal? That's what the spiritual community keeps telling us. We're all equal. I disagree. No, we're not. We're not all equal at all. And I don't believe we all come from the same source either. I had a real hard time with that belief system. That's another story. So anyway, each and every individual can produce third energy, or twin flame energy, as some people like to call it. And what happens is, when you have people who are beginning to evolve, to awaken, and they begin to let go of the containment field that has contained them in the field or vibration of creative essence within themselves that gives them access to the twin flame energy or the third energy. Either they have unlimited, somewhat unlimited, limited, very limited, or almost no access to the twin flame energy or the third energy or the source energy, whatever you want to call it. And I want to assure you that it is the sole purpose of a lot of people on the planet who, through corporations, controls, laws, governments, religions, etc., 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 want to make sure you don't get more access to the twin flame energy or the third energy. They don't want you to do that. All right? And even you, the person listening to this video, have in your family people who don't want you to access any more of it either. They want to keep you where they want to keep you because that's what they've been taught, that everybody in the family needs to be downloaded, templated with the same behavioral situations, creatively or dysfunctionally, or relatively speaking balanced, or relatively sane, a little insane, a little mentally dysfunctional, a lot more dysfunctional, or creative to a degree. I think some of you can see where I'm going with this, all right? And again, what happens is there is no dispute on my part with anyone having access to the third energy or to the twin flame energy. However, again, I'm going to emphasize this again. I like to emphasize that experience is a very valuable commodity. I know there's a great many people in the spiritual community who don't think that experience counts for anything. But I can assure you, if you don't have the experience of having done something, you have no idea what a pickle feels like in a jar. You don't. Unless you've been a pickle in a jar, you can't talk with authority. You can't, because you have no experience. I don't care who you are, what your title is, self-imposed, self-created, or bestowed upon you. If you haven't lived the dream, or the illusion, remember that, if you haven't lived the dream or the illusion, you don't have the experience, bottom line. Another way of looking at it this way. Would you hire a carpenter that just got out of carpenter school? Or would you hire a carpenter that's got 5 years experience and comes with references from 50 people? The choice is obvious, right? So experience is a valuable commodity. The very first thing that has to happen here is this. In order to access more twin flame energy, more third energy, a person has to come into balance and align with himself. The first thing that has to happen is some kind of mechanism, some kind of something has to happen in their body. And what is that? You have two aspects, two energy flows through yourself. If anyone has noticed, we have two kinds of people on the planet. We have little boys and we have little girls. And we have little girls and little boys who grow up and who are just as immature when they were 6 and 10 as they are when they are 30 and 40. Why is that? Why is that? Makes me wonder if we're going to stop running around inventing things to kill each other with and spend our time doing that one way or another. In any case, what is happening at this particular point is somewhere that mechanism must awaken. And what has to happen is there has to be a unification take place within the person, be it a male or a female. You have the two aspects potential within you. There has to be a mystical marriage take place. There has to be an opening. There has to be an energetic evolution of the system, of the soul body, the energy body, the spirit body, whatever level you want to call it, within the individual themselves to bring that masculine, feminine aspect within themselves. The creative nucleus of the creative source, the third energy, the twin flame energy, the component is masculine and feminine charge. We've all heard this before. Many people have talked about it. And it exists within all of us in variations, limitations, and dysfunctions. The mechanism to bring that into activation is Kundalini energy. It must be activated, and it will activate in more and more people all the time, and it must begin to make that transition happen. So what happens is, over the years, through my wonderful experience I have heard of people who have had, excuse me, mystical experiences with what they call non-physical beings that have turned sensual, sexual, might call it a humpathon. Anybody know what a humpathon is? A humpathon is a modern version of the orgy. We now call it a humpathon. It's where a whole pile of people get together and they hump. Humpathon. The old days in the Roman times used to be called an orgy. In the 60s and 70s, they call it orgies also. Now we call it a humpathon. Right? Humpathons are interesting commodities nowadays because now what happens when you have them, because we have so misappropriated the sexual energy, now you have to have a full body condom to participate in a humpathon. Can you dig it? Can you imagine yourself having sex with a full body condom on? Humpathons don't seem to be all that exciting. I don't know. Probably orgies never were either, unless you were some kind of, well, who knows. Anyways, off topic. Humpathon, I like that one. You like that one? I liked it. Good. Well, you got a chocolate, I got a chocolate, everybody's happy. Okay, so let's get on with it. So anyways, during this initiation or the activation that takes place, the individual must have these types of experience where if you're female, you have a connection with a masculine, male aspect, energy type of situation, or vice versa. If it's a male, it must be a female. I personally have had the experience. And many people think this is some kind of sign that they're going to have a connection with their twin flame, or they're going to reconnect with their twin flame, or it's some kind of possession or entity that's simply trying to hump them. In essence, what's happening is, and this can happen continually throughout the years, I have had this happen many times over the years, where I've had a feminine aspect, a feminine energy, body, being, or whatever, come and have occasionally a sexual or sensual experience with me in a very high vibrational state, even though I'm with my twin flame, Nicole. She has had the same experience happen to her over the years and still does occasionally, because as you go up in vibration and growth, you continually have to keep rebalancing and retooling the masculine feminine aspect of self as you move into higher vibration. I don't know why people don't understand this. Why does everybody have to think that this has got to be your twin flame that's doing this? Why is that? Again, the belief system comes into play. So as you're doing this and you have this experience, you come into bloom yourself, you balance, and then depending upon your mental body, your emotional body, will dictate your state of consciousness. Your state of consciousness at that point will have probably let go of some of the belief systems that you were previously, and you now moved into a new vibration. You're now into a higher vibration. You have left friends and people that you knew in the past. They're now gone from you. They've disappeared out of your awareness and attraction because you have achieved a vibration or a resonance within yourself according to where you are and what you have let go of, or what you've grown into. This still has nothing to do with another person. Absolutely nothing. And sometimes what can happen is you can have another person show up to continue the process with. And immediately, which is the common denominator in belief system, is, and I've seen this, I don't know how many times over the thousands of times, people will make this connection with another person, a heart-centered connection, and it's a wow, and it's a orgasmic type of feeling, and the heart goes fluffy bunny and all this stuff, and ooh goo 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 and ga 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 and all that kind of gung fu stuff. And here we go, we get into a small little humpathon. And immediately somebody or someone or both thinks some kind of relationship is pending because you have this connection with the other person, which is not what it was about in the first place. It was because at a soul level, there could be some beneficial energy exchange between the two of you, so that some soul growth could be benefit to one or both of you as a possibility. And if you wanted to get into some kind of humpathon situation, or call it a twin flame thing, or whatever, you can do that, if you will. But instead of doing that, maybe it might be a wise idea to sit back, take a look at it, and go with the flow of the situation, and not get all caught up in the situation. Because in reality, I've come across quite a few people who have had this mystical experience, this intertwining with the third energy, the masculine, feminine core aspect of self. They don't want a relationship at all. Couldn't care less. A relationship with no one but themselves. We're moving into an androgynous state of mind, an androgynous state of being, an androgynous state of body. That's what it's all about. That's what's happening. That's where we're going. And that's what's taking place. Here's something that I've learned that I want to kind of mention. I think, and this will probably upset a few people, I think most people nowadays that are getting into a relationship, whether it's a soulmate relationship, whether it's a twin flame relationship, are getting into these things not because they choose to get into them, not because it's a choice that they make. I think they do it because it's a belief system that they have to. That if this happens, you have to do this. If that happens, you have to expect that. If this happens, you have to do that with him. Or if that happens, she has to do that with you. Bullshit. That is belief system being expressed by non-choice. You don't have a choice. You're simply answering to the programming that's within you. And the idea with the freedom of the twin flame energy, the third energy, the source energy, the divine energy, the creative, whatever you want to call it, energy, is to give you the freedom to be you, first of all. And not get caught up in all of this haberdashery of concepts of love, relationship, and sexuality that are now in question at every level. Every level. I question every level that I see going on. And when I say level, I am not kidding level. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm a member of probably 25 twin flame groups on Facebook. And I like to go visiting. And I can assure you, if anyone thinks there isn't a hierarchy amongst the twin flame groups, man, oh man, you want to go in and listen and read some of the comments in some of these groups. The hierarchy is there step by step by step by step from top to bottom. And they all think they're equal. They all think they're the same. Group consciousness on Facebook is as common as the fruit fly. And you can see the hierarchy by the group conscious of the individuals that comment where they are in their vibrational growth, the issues and or belief systems that they're dealing with, and also the core issues of their twin flame belief systems that they all flock around like hot flies to honeypot. Nothing wrong with that. That's where they're at. But that's also where the twin flame energy, the third energy, the source energy, the divine energy, whatever you want to call it, functions from. The danger in that is that you can get into, and I'm going to use this expression again as I did in another video, you can get caught in a loop. And in that loop, you start incorporating, because it's solidified by repetition of comments, innuendos, belief systems, ideologies, and philosophies in these groups, caught up in a perpetual loop that you can't get out of. And that's where the danger lies. So what happens is your growth of coming out and having access to more of the twin flame energy, more freedom, is taken away from you because so many of us are used to being told what to do, how to do it, and then gathering in a group that has similar belief systems. We did it all the time before Facebook or any other forum type of thing. And you can see it. They all like fleas on a dog's back. They all like a certain dog. They all jump there. They like this dog. They all jump there. And what happens, it limits the twin flame energy or the third energy. So also what happens, to go back to this experience that I mentioned before about having the mystical experience with your masculine or feminine side, By some people, this is considered to be the twin flame experience. It is. They think the twin flame energy is this experience, and it's manifested in that way. It's not. That's not a twin flame experience. That's just the source creative energy initiating the fusion of the masculine and feminine energy within the individual through a mystical experience that can happen in meditation, in the dream state, or it can actually happen in a waking state of consciousness, where they would feel this masculine or feminine embodiment actually connect and join with them. And I can assure you this process is going to continue. And it's going to create even more confusion for people who are having it, because they're going to think, well, I've met my twin flame, so that means if I'm having these mystical states and these sensual connections with my twin flame, but we're not together, but we're having these things, then it's got to be my twin flame. No, it's not. Not necessarily. It could be, but not necessarily, because what happens is if you are growing and evolving, even though you and your twin flame may not be together, or soulmate, or whatever other label you want to use, what happens is you still have to keep growing and evolving. So you continually have to have these masculine and feminine connections periodically throughout your growth to take you up to the next vibration. I don't know why people don't see that. It's like, what's going on? Some of you got tunnel vision? All you can see is the guy over there with his ganchi shorts, or the girl over there with a nice pair of underwear on? Like, is that it? Is that all we see? Can we do this, broaden our vision, and start looking at it in a different way? Stop always relating it to something else, or somebody else, or someone else, or herself, or himself. One of the things that has happened to me, personally, is every experience that I have, I don't jump into things. And this is something that I notice very, very prominent lately, especially on Facebook, but especially on YouTube. And again, this is not a criticism, it's an observation. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and I am all for that. But is the opinion being given in an informed and experienced opinion, or is it just somebody anxious to get up on YouTube and Facebook and start spouting off and pontificating? Example, case in point, you got a lot of new twin flames. At least that's what they say they are, coming up and presenting on YouTube. I've listened to a lot of the material that they present. Nice people. But they have no experience. They don't know the mechanics of it. It's not there. I can see it by listening to what they say. I can see it. Is that being judgmental? No. It's observation. That's all it is. But this will be perceived as somebody being judgmental. All right? And in spite of everything, it seems as though there are a great many who want us to stay in the spiritual community in the safe zone. Ever heard of the safe zone? Okay, the safe zone is part and parcel of the third energy, the twin flame energy, the source creative energy. It's a safe zone. People will say, wow, I've gone through so much in the last year, all I want to do is just relax and go with the flow, enjoy the ride, just sit in the sunshine, sip my tea or have a drink, whatever, all right? Let me inform you of something. There is no safe zone. There is no rest. There is no, let's take a break. Let's sit in the sunshine and pick our nose for a while. We're now into an evolutionary spiritual process that is continual. It doesn't stop and take a break because you don't feel like doing it anymore, or it doesn't stop and take a break because you have to go to work or you have kids to take care of. It goes on anyway, whether you like it or not. And if you think it's going to stop, it isn't, because growth is perpetual. It is. There are people who resist the growth, and I see it all the time. There are people who don't want the growth, and there are people who are so afraid of growth and changes in the status quo, whatever that may be, based on their present belief system, So what happens is this: it limits the twin flame energy, the third energy, the creative energy, the source energy, the divine energy, whatever label you want to call it, to expressing through that person in exactly the limiting factor that they have predisposed themselves to by the containment field of belief system that you hang on to and refuse to let go of. So as I said before, you will keep attracting to yourself people, situations, and experiences that will keep pushing your emotional buttons, your mental buttons, your etheric buttons, and I'm using the word buttons because you all understand that, and it's going to keep going on and on and on until you surrender and give yourself the freedom. Freedom is an illusion on this planet. There is no such thing. Freedom is imminent in our society. And the freedom is imminent because of the third energy, the twin flame energy, the source creative energy, whatever you want to call it, because now it's expressing through us. It is remodeling from the old way of doing things to the new way of doing things. The third energy that once expressed through the solar plexus chakra, in the old concept of love, relationship, and sexuality, has said, no more. We're not doing this shit anymore, guys. We're moving up to the east side. And the process begins of moving it up to the heart center to begin to express there. And this is what is happening. And as we do this, you're going to see some astonishing things take place for people, some pretty astonishing abilities take place for people, and some pretty astonishing creative abilities for people. But we are going to have a very important commodity in place that we didn't have in the solar plexus emotional experience of existence in physical reality, and that is maturity. We're going to be able to use these new mental abilities, creative abilities, responsibly. Take a look around the world right now. See the technology that we've devised. See the world that's going. Yes, there are people out there doing good things. I'm not disputing that. But there are a great deal of areas in our society where creativity is not functioning in a positive, creative fashion in many countries and many societies. That's why this is happening. Love the twin flame energy. Love the third energy. Love the source creative energy. But more importantly, love yourself. Until you love yourself, you are incapable of loving another. Until you love yourself, you cannot access fully the twin flame energy, the third energy, until you can express it through you and do it clearly, responsibly, and with a level of maturity. You cannot attract to you another equal to your vibration, which you can call any label you want, twin flame, soulmate, divine partnership, whatever. You will not attract to that person, to you, until you are complete within you, yourself. Think about it. Have a great day, everyone.